friends. Hi friends, and welcome to, or back to, my channel. Okay, I'm gonna start off by just saying again, I'm so sorry for any building work that you might hear. Despite it being a Saturday, apparently they work every day of the week, so they're still building a house at the bottom of my garden. Now they're putting on the roof, so maybe it's nearly done. Anyway, today's video is going to be my April reading wrap up. I honestly thought I'd read nothing in April until I've put it all together, and I'm like, wow, I actually read quite a lot. The books I read as well were quite thick, so I wasn't getting through them as quickly, but like I was reading a lot of pages. But yeah, I read 8 books in April, so let's get straight on into it. As usual, I wrote down all my thoughts in this reading journal from Illumicrate, and it just sounds so nice. Yes, here it all is. So let's get straight into it. The first book I read, honestly, I now don't even remember reading it. It was that long ago. I started it in March. I finished it off in April, and that was the Mindf series by S.D. Abbey, which, by the way, this makes stabby, which is hilarious, and I love that. But yeah, the Mindf series. This is technically 5 books in one, and you can count it as such on Goodreads, but I counted it as one, because separately the books, they're like 100 pages, 150 pages each, but yeah, I counted it as one book, but technically this was 5, but this was like 650 pages long. I really enjoyed it. It was not at all what I was expecting from it. I think I was expecting like a dark romance similar to like Haunting Adeline, that type of vibe, with like the cover and the plot that I'd heard, but it's way more of just like a thriller with a romantic side plot. It's pretty much completely spice free, except for, wow, I would love if they weren't doing that. Yeah, it's pretty much spice free, except for approximately 10 pages maybe across the whole book. So yeah, pretty much spice free. I absolutely loved it. Again, like I didn't really know what to expect going into it. But we're following Lana was her name. As I said, I read this so long ago. Lana, and then his name was my god, what was his name? Logan. And Lana is a vigilante, a serial killer, and you don't know what's happened in her past, but you know that something bad has happened. You slowly unravel what that was throughout the book. It was really bad. So she's a vigilante, a serial killer, like taking her revenge on the people who wronged her. And then Logan is an FBI agent who is assigned to try and figure out who the serial killer is, and it's Lana. But they like unexpectedly meet and form this connection, and so they're in a relationship together, but she's the serial killer that he's trying to find, and it was very good. I ended up giving this one a 4.5 stars. 4.5 stars. It wasn't quite 5 stars. I think that was just how it was written. It's not the best thing I've ever read, but it was very, very entertaining. The plot was great. It was very dark, difficult to read at times. The characters were really good. I really enjoyed it. There was also a lot of characters, and I did get a little bit confused with who was who. Again, it's a thing with, like when they refer to people by surnames, and I just never know who is who when they refer to people by surnames. But yeah, the Mindf series actually awful though. So yeah, this was the first book that I finished in April. The next book that I finished in April was Kill Creatures by Rory Power. I'm sorry, this book comes out in June of this year and was sent to me by Scholastic. So thank you so much to Scholastic for sending it to me. I was so obsessed with this book as I've read Rory Power's other book, which is called Wilder Girls. I've spoken about it on my channel before, and I loved that book. That one was really like horror. It's all YA, so it's not too bad, but like it was horror with like a lot of body horror. This one was more of a thriller, but it had those like horror elements as well, still with the same body horror. And it's quite a short book, but it really packed a punch. Like, it had a great plot, great characters. It was really interesting. We're following Nan, who had a friendship group of 4. So there was Nan and then her 3 other friends, and this time the previous year she went out with her friends to go swimming in like this secluded location in a small American town, and Nan was the only one to come back. The other 3 went missing, and now we are a year later at the vigil for the 3 girls who went missing. And during this vigil, one of the girls reappears, but Nan's like, that's impossible, because last year Nan killed all 3 of them and she knows she killed them all, so how can her friend be back and be alive when she killed them? And so it was just kind of like figuring out what happened, why Nan killed them, how Nan killed them. And we've got like a past and present timelines, so we're following the past, seeing like their friendship, why Nan killed them, blah blah blah, and then we've got the present when her friends just come back, and it's like the police investigation, and they're trying to figure out like, oh, if you're back, what happened to the other girls. Yeah, it was really well done. But Nan, like, going into it, you know that Nan killed all of them. It's in the blurb, and so you know she's an unreliable narrator, and so everything she's saying you like are taking with a pinch of salt, but equally because she believes it, you also believe it. And yeah, it was just really well done. There was a plot twist at the end which, like, really, looking back at it, is so obvious, but again, because you're in Nan's perspective, you just don't see it until it's revealed, and then I was like, whoa, like, obviously I kind of like, I knew that, but because of the way we were in Nan's perspective, I didn't see it coming at all. And I really enjoyed that. I gave this one 4 stars. Yeah, Rory Power is great. If you haven't read any of her books, I definitely recommend picking them up. Honestly, I think I would say this one over Wilder Girls. But it was so good. I really love it when books have unreliable narrators and you just don't know what to believe, but I love it when it was similar in Yellowface by R.F. Kuang, when like they're justifying it in a way because they so believe that what they've done is right, and the way they're justifying it, you like agree with them, and I love that. And then you sit back and you're like, hang on, we've literally killed people. But yeah, this was great. next, I got a Kindle for my birthday, so I actually read this one on Kindle, but I've got the physical copy as well, so I'm going to be using the physical copy. But I read this one on my Kindle, and that is Hunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton, which is the sequel to Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. This is a duology, so this finished the series. This book was so long, I can't say what this is about because it will spoil the first one, but I much preferred this one to the first book. I gave this one 3.5 stars. I think my main issue with this is that I honestly think it should have been 2 books. The first half of this book and the second half of this book were like night and day. They were like 2 completely different things. So honestly, I think if this was split up into 2 books, it would have been better. I understand that if she had split it up, but the first book wouldn't necessarily have been, well, necessary. It wouldn't have been a romance at all. But so I can understand why she didn't. But I think it would have benefited from being 2 books instead of 1. But yeah, this one is just so much darker than the first book. Definitely check trigger warnings before you go into this one. I had to put it down and walk away quite a few number of times. I think the author handled it in a decent way, like it wasn't romanticized in any way, shape or form, which I appreciated. But yeah, it was very, very dark. The main thing I didn't enjoy, though, in the second part of this book was I don't think Zaid always respected Adeline's boundaries. The boundaries were there, she'd said them before, and he pushed them quite a few times under the pretense of like, oh, I know that she wants it type of thing. But I was like, does she? She's been through quite a lot, and we're kind of making her do things that she has said before that she's not necessarily okay with doing just yet. So that was my main issue with this book. But other than that, I did enjoy it. And as I said, I preferred it to the first one. Was one of my pre-orders, and this finishes a series. So go me, I finished 2 series this month, and that was Fearless by Lauren Roberts, which is the 3rd and final book in the Powerless trilogy. Honestly, I still don't really know how to feel about this one. I've written 3.5 stars. Okay, that's bad. This is the nice special edition. It's really pretty. It's also got a reversible dust jacket that I'm not going to show too much because I actually think the reversible dust jacket was a spoiler. And there was something that happened that you were meant to be like, and I was like, well, yeah, I know that's going to happen because it's on the reversible dust jacket. So that was annoying. That was one of the reasons I actually rated this lower, because there was a few things like that. Lauren Roberts had done a video on TikTok that was like 4 truths and a lie about Fearless, and you could guess what was going to happen based off that video, because like you were thinking, okay, she said that in her video, that just happened, tick, 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 tick. Oh, that one hasn't happened yet. Yes, that one has to be the lie. So you could tell when the lie happened. You were like, okay, so everything else is true then. Like, yeah. So that was kind of annoying. That and the reversible dust jacket lowered the score for me. Yeah, obviously I can't talk about plot of this one either because it is the 3rd one in the series. I liked Peyton and Kai in this. Kai, I think, was the best part of this book. It felt a little more juvenile than the others. She also used the word inevitable so many times. I'm not joking. I think she used the word inevitable about 50 times, and it would be like, we are inevitable. I was like, I don't care, actually. Shut up and stop calling each other, like, I don't care. And that was kind of annoying me, and I could tell she was doing it in a way that, like, to be quoted, and I didn't like that. That was annoying me. Yeah, the pacing also felt a little bit strange, and she kind of recycled the plot of the first book a little bit. But other than that, like, I enjoyed my time reading it. Like, I had a good time. It's really deceptively long. This was like over 500 pages. It does not look it, but it took me a really long time to read. But yeah, it was over 500 pages. It did not need to be over 500 pages. Things would happen really, really slowly, and then all of a sudden there'd be like 3 chapters of like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, and then it went back to like nothing. So quite a bit of filler. But I did really enjoy Peyton and Kai, as I said. Kai was definitely the best part. But their relationship is really cute. I really like their relationship. I had a fun time with it. Yeah, nothing else really to say. I think retrospectively it's more of a 3-star than a 3.5, but yeah. Hands down was my favourite book of the month. I loved this so much. I've already forced my manager to buy it and about 3 other people at work to buy it. So that was Truly, Madly, Deeply by L.J. Shen. This one was also sent to me by the publisher, which is Hodder and Stoughton. So thank you so much to them for sending me this. I absolutely loved this. I read it on my Kindle, but I do have the physical copy, but it is also on Kindle Unlimited, so if you have that, you should read this because it was great. Again, it's quite long, but I ended up wanting it to be longer. Yeah, I gave this one 5 stars. We are following Cal, our main female character, who, when she was 18 and leaving for college, she slept with her best friend's brother, and her best friend caught them, and there was like an epic best friend breakup, and then she moved to college, completely had no more contact with her best friend, and then is moving back to her small town years later after her father passes away. And when she's there, she kind of reconnects with her old friend, but also reconnects with her best friend's brother, who is called Ro, or Ambrose, but Ro for short. And he is now like a celebrity chef, think like Gordon Ramsay, like a mean celebrity chef who literally hates everyone but not her. And like, oh my god, I've read that trope before, but never has it been done in as well as it was done in this book, and it killed me. He killed me. Oh my god, I can't. Jeez. Cal was a really interesting character. She has a phobia of men, essentially, because of something that happened to her when she was younger, and she's been talking to someone on this platform, which is like a help group for people who've got this phobia, and like, you can maybe guess who she's talking to, who's on the other side of the phone. Okay, they've started doing some different form of banging now, who knows. So I really liked that element of the story as well. But yeah, without a doubt, my favourite thing in this book was Ro, our male main character. How he literally hated everyone. He was so mean to everyone except her, and it killed me. It killed me. Also, the smut in this book was so good. Like, low-key, some of the best smut I've read this year. yeah, I could not recommend this one enough. Please read this. This one is like a series, but it's interconnected standalones. I just bought the next one today, actually, which is called Wildest Dreams. Is it the Taylor Swift song? We'll never know. But I'm very excited to continue on with the series, and I hope that it gives me the same dopamine hit that this one did. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. Yes, truly, madly, deeply. Everyone should read this book. Great. Okay, the next book. Please ignore how this sticker does not stay here. I need to get some blue tack. But the next book was one that I don't have a physical copy of. And so I read it on my Kindle. And so far, I've upheld my promise to myself that if I read a book on Kindle Unlimited that I don't already own, I do not need to go out and buy it. And I finished this book on the 27th of April, and so far I have not gone out and bought it, so I'm holding myself to that promise. But that book was Satan's Affair by H.D. Carlton. This is part of the Haunting Adeline world, but it's not part of the series. We're following a different character. This one's 110 pages or something. It's super short, and we are following Sibby, who we meet in the first Haunting Adeline, and then becomes a bigger character in Hunting Adeline. But we're following it's something that happened nearish the end of Haunting Adeline. So we're there at a carnival where Sibby works, and it's basically Sibby and her, how many does she have? 5, 6 henchmen, as she calls them, who are basically just people she has a relationship with, and she thinks it's her job to rid the world of evil people. She thinks that she can smell people who are evil. So if you're not evil, she says you smell like flowers, and if you are evil, then you smell like rotten rubbish, essentially. So it was basically just 110 pages of absolutely no plot except for her killing people and then her sleeping with her henchmen. I won't spoil anything, because if you read this before Haunting Adeline, there's something at the end which will actually shock you, but because I already have read Haunting Adeline and I know this about Sibby, I was not shocked. But I think I would have been shocked if I hadn't read it before, so maybe if I'd read it first I would have rated it a bit higher. I gave it 2.75, nearly 3, who knows. I had a fun time with it. I think my main issue was just that there was no plot, but it's a smart book, what do you expect? I do think Sibby is a really interesting character. She's very complex. She grew up in a cult, so you learn a lot about the cult she was in this book, which I found really interesting. But yeah, other than that, there's not much else to say about it because nothing really happened. But yeah, it was a fun time. I read it in 2 days, so the cover though is so bad. There's one other book in the Haunting Adeline world which is called Where's Molly, which I've downloaded onto my Kindle as well, because now that I've read this one I might as well finish them all off. It's fallen down even further. So yes, that was Satan's Affair The next book I read is the new Waterstones YA book of the month. We've never had a YA book of the month before at Waterstones. It's something that's been introduced this month and I'm so excited about it. YA will always be like my first. Okay, they're drilling now, but that's fine. YA will always be my first love when it comes to reading, and so I love being able to, share that with people. And that book is The Witchleys by Annalise Avery. This was so great. I gave this 4 stars. There's a lot going on in this book. It's set in like Regency era England, except for with witches, and there's kind of like a Romeo and Juliet-esque relationship between our 2 main characters, with they have got like rival families. His family cursed her family and she's now living with the curse. Her name is Aurelia, I think is how you pronounced it, and his name, she always calls him Knightley, but what was his first name? I literally only just finished. Jules and Aurelia, and they basically team up together under the guise of like their fake courting to try and figure out how they can stop her losing her magic because of this curse that was placed on her. And as I said, we're set in Regency era London, so we're also following her debutante season. So she's entering this season for the first time, but instead of it being to find a romantic match, they're looking for magical matches who they can tether their magic to, because in this age of magic you have to tether your magic to someone else, otherwise you will lose your magic. So they're trying to break this curse because Jules's sister isn't tethered to anyone and is going to lose her magic, and Aurelia can't tether because she is cursed and so will lose her magic. Along the way they discover a conspiracy as well that they're then trying to solve, and it was really well done. There's a lot of tropes, as I said, like fake dating, enemies to lovers, rival families, like there's forbidden romance, like there's a lot of tropes going on, but it was done really, really well. I really enjoyed it. It took me a very long time to read, but that wasn't because I wasn't enjoying it. I think I was just taking my time with it. As I said, there was a lot going on. It was a very expansive world, which I really enjoyed. I don't really have any criticisms of it. I just didn't love it enough to give it 5 stars. Like I wasn't like, whoa, I'm obsessed with this, but like I really, really loved it. It's a shame the Waterstones edition's got lovely sprayed edges, but because this was sent to us as like a reading copy, so again, thank you Simon & Schuster for this book. It doesn't have the sprayed edges, so that's a shame, but yeah, I really enjoyed this. I really recommend it. If you like Bridgerton or like Divine Rivals or The Rose Bargain, very similar to The Rose Bargain. Finally, the final book that I read in April. I read on my Kindle, but again, I've got a physical copy, was The Housemaid Secret by Frida McFadden, which is the sequel to The Housemaid. I gave this 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. Again, we're following Millie, who is the protagonist from The Housemaid, as she's going to work for a different family, and she uncovers like bad things happening in this relationship, and she's trying to help save the wife from her husband, and that's all I will say, because otherwise we'll get into spoilers. I think if I'd never read a Frida McFadden book before, the plot twist would have shocked me, but it very much followed the same formula as The Housemaid, and because I've read The Housemaid, obviously, I was expecting it, so I wasn't like, whereas I would have been if I had never read a Frida McFadden book before, because I was in The Housemaid, I was like, that's earth-shattering, but because I was expecting it, like, I don't know, it didn't hit the same way. But I thought it was really well done, the way that she like sprinkled things throughout that seemed so insignificant and then come up later and you're like, wow, you're right, that did happen, and like, wow, now that sounds really suspicious, but it's just things you don't think of at the time. Also, Frida McFadden is a literal brain scientist. This is her side hobby. Her side hobby. She's a brain scientist, and then her side hobby is being a best-selling author. Imagine. It's so cool. Yeah, I thought it was really well crafted. I like Millie, the main character, a lot. Yeah, I thought it was well done. I had a good time with it. Again, I read it in like 2 days, so can't complain. I'll definitely read the third book in the series, which is The Housemaids something. No idea. There's no way of knowing. The Housemaids, who knows, but it's a white cover and I definitely will read that just to finish it off. But yeah. Okay, that is everything that I read in April. Let me know what you read in April, what your favourites were, what you'd recommend. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like and comment and subscribe if you want to, but don't feel that you have to. And I will see you all